Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna was not a stranger to loss. At the age of 28, she had already buried her parents, who had been killed in a fishing boat accident that had claimed half the town's fleet a decade earlier. The tragedy had left her alone, save for her younger brother, Finn, who was now 16 and on the verge of revolt. Their link had been unshakable previously, built in mutual suffering, but Finn's fury had just transformed him into a stranger. He blamed Luna for their parents' disappearance, despite the fact that she was just a youngster at the time of death. She had raised him and sacrificed her aspirations of leaving Eldridge to provide him with stability, but it was never enough. The letter in her pocket provided proof of this. Katie Brennan, Finn's girlfriend, had written the caustic words. Katie was a hurricane in human form, gorgeous, unexpected, and destructive. Her family was among the wealthiest in Eldridge, owning a cannery that employed the majority of the town. Katie's allure had captivated Finn, but her adoration came at a cost. Luna, with her quiet might and refusal to bend, threatened her ability to maintain control. The letter was a declaration of war. Katie accused Luna of poisoning Finn and using lies to sabotage their relationship. Worse, it hinted at a conspiracy, a whispered agreement between Katie and others in town who wanted Luna gone, forced away, or worse. The words, "You don't belong here," were written in jagged ink, and while the letter was unsigned, Katie's flourish was clear. Luna's heart ached when she thought of Finn. He'd been aloof for months, and his once bright eyes were clouded with bitterness. She'd noticed the signs, late nights, hidden phone calls, and the way he flinched when she tried to hug him. Katie had filled his head with stories about Luna, portraying her as the villain who held him captive to a dying village. But Luna wasn't the only one who saw through Katie's ruse. Bill, Finn's best buddy and a dock worker with a temper as hot as the sea, had warned Luna about Katie's power. Bill was loyal to Finn, but he was also loyal to Luna, who he had a quiet affection for, but had never admitted. His wrath at Katie's manipulations had been boiling, and Luna was concerned it would soon boil over. The pier creaked beneath her as she returned to town, the letter burning a hole in her head. She wasn't sure who to trust anymore. Eldridge was a place where secrets festered and grudges were held like heirlooms. The townspeople had always regarded Luna with suspicion. She was too independent, reluctant to play their games of respect to the Brennans. Katie's family ruled Eldridge, and crossing them resulted in exile or worse. Luna had heard the stories. A fisherman who had spoken out against the cannery's poor wages was discovered floating face down in the harbor, and a schoolteacher who had questioned the Brennans' influence was driven out of town with nothing but the clothes on her back. Now it appeared like Luna was next. She strolled carefully through town, her boots crunching on the gravel driveway leading to the little house she and Finn shared. The air was heavy with the smell of fish and damp wood, and the distant clang of buoys reverberated like a melancholy bell. As she arrived, she noticed Finn's figure in the window, leaning over the kitchen table. Her heart lifted for a minute, hoping for an opportunity to chat and overcome the distance between them. However, when she opened the door, she froze. Katie was sitting on the edge of the table, her red lips twisted into a smirk. Finn did not look up. "Luna," Katie replied, her voice full of false kindness. "We were just talking about you." Finn's gaze flickered to Luna, but there was no warmth there. "She says you've been spreading lies," he mumbled, his tone low and accusatory. "Says you told Bill. I'm throwing my life away with her." Luna's throat clenched. "I never mentioned that, Finn. You know I wouldn't. So, why is Bill acting as if I'm some kind of traitor?" Finn snapped, throwing his fist to the table. "He's been my friend since we were kids, and he's convinced that Katie is the problem. That's what you're doing, right?" Katie leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. "She is envious, Finn. She wants to keep you under her control, as she always has. Is that correct, Luna?" Luna's hands tightened into fists. She wanted to scream and shake Finn until he realized the truth, but she knew it would only drive him further away. Finn, she replied softly, I only want you to be happy. But Katie, she's not who you think she is. Katie laughed sharply. Oh, Luna, you are so predictable. Always playing the martyr. But we all know who you really are, and nobody who has clung to this town like a leech, pulling Finn down with you. The comments hurt, but Luna stood firm. If I'm such a nobody, Katie, why are you scared of me? For a brief time, Katie's facade slipped, revealing the genuine anger beneath. But before Katie could react, the door sprang wide, and Bill rushed in, his face flushed with rage. His huge shoulders dominated the entryway, and his hands were balled into fists, his knuckles scarred from years of hauling nets. Get out, Katie, he yelled. You've done enough damage. Katie didn't flinch. Oh, look. It's Luna's guard dog. What is the matter, Bill? Can't stand how Finn has finally found someone who matters? Bill's eyes narrowed, and Luna saw the menace in them. He spoke few words, but his fury was legendary. You're poison, he muttered, moving closer. You're tearing him apart, and you're attempting to bring Luna down with him. Finn rose to his feet, his chair scratching against the floor. Bill, back off. You don't get to speak to her like that. Luna stepped between them, her pulse racing. Stop it, both of you. This isn't helpful. However, the room was a powder keg, and Luna's comments were too late to put out the fire. Bill sprang at Katie, not to hurt her, but to seize her arm, as if he could physically remove her from Finn's life. Finn pushed him back, and the two men collided, their yells drowning out Luna's cries. Katie watched, her smile cold and calculated, as if she had planned the pandemonium herself. Luna grabbed Finn's arm and pulled him away. Finn, please listen to me. She is using you. She doesn't care about you. She only cares about winning. Finn shoved her off, his face contorted in misery. You don't get it, Luna. You've never received it. I'm no longer your little boy. I don't need you. The words landed harder than any strike. Luna staggered back, her vision blurred from weeping. She wanted to protest, to scream that she had done everything for him, but the weight of his rejection overwhelmed her. She turned and departed the house, slamming the door behind her. The night was cold, with the stars obscured by a veil of clouds. Luna dashed to the cliffs above the sea, where she had always gone to contemplate and weep. The note remained in her pocket, its words reverberating in her mind. You do not belong here. Maybe Katie was correct. Perhaps she had been fighting a losing war all along, clinging to a community that didn't want her and a brother who didn't require her. She didn't notice Bill approach until he was alongside her, his breathing hard from sprinting. Luna, he continued, his voice gentler now, devoid of its previous fury. I apologize. I shouldn't have pursued her like that. Luna shook her head, unable to speak. Bill hesitated before placing a hand on her shoulder, his touch warm despite the cold. He's mistaken, you know. Finn. He needs you. He seems lost right now. What if he's right? Luna whispered. What if I am the one who has been holding him back? Bill's jaw stiffened. You have given him everything. If he can't see that, it's his fault, not yours. They stood still, the rush of waves below filling the space between them. Luna wanted to believe him, but doubt was poison that seeped into her bones. She recalled the letter and Katie's veiled warnings, and a new worry emerged. What if Katie's animosity extended beyond words? What if the murmurs of danger were more than mere rumors? Over the next 3 days, the tension in Eldridge thickened, like a fog that refused to clear. Finn avoided Luna and instead stayed at Katie's huge hillside home. Bill maintained a close eye on Luna, his presence providing a gentle comfort, but she could see the struggle in his eyes. He was divided between his allegiance to Finn and his desire to protect her. The town, too, appeared to turn against her. Whispers followed her around the market, and old friends turned away as she passed. Katie's power was growing, and Luna sensed the walls closing in. One evening, when Luna walked home from work, she observed a stranger following her. The streets were silent, and the lamps created lengthy shadows. Her pulse accelerated, and she grabbed the tiny knife she had begun keeping in her pocket. She took a corner, hoping to avoid whoever it was, but the footsteps continued. When she arrived at her house, she swung around, ready to confront her pursuer, but the street was empty. Her hands shook as she locked the door behind her. That night, she dreamed of the sea, of her parents' boat sinking beneath the waves, and Finn's face disappearing into the depths. She awoke screaming, her heart pumping. The home was silent, yet something seemed off. She crept downstairs, knife in hand, and discovered the rear door ajar. A cool breeze blew through, bearing the aroma of salt and something sharper, gasoline. Panic overtook her. She raced outdoors, her bare feet hurting against the cold earth, and noticed a faint flare of fire in the distance, near the docks. She dashed toward them, her head racing. The fire was little but deliberate, blazing at a pile of nets beside her family's old boat, which she had left anchored as a reminder of her parents. Someone had set it. Luna retrieved a pail from a neighboring shed and doused the flames with seawater, her arms straining as she worked. Her hands and lungs had become scorched by the time the fire was extinguished. She went to her knees, the weight of everything crashing down. This was not an accident. This was Katie's doing, or someone following her orders. The next morning, Luna went to the police, but the sheriff, who owed the Brennans money, rejected her worries. "Kids playing pranks," he muttered, averting her gaze. No proof of anything else. Luna exited the station, feeling more alone than ever. She knew she couldn't remain silent. She had to face Katie in order to terminate the situation before it progressed further. She discovered Katie at the cannery, overseeing a shipment with the assurance of someone who ruled the world. Luna did not wait for an invitation. "This is over," she murmured, her voice firm despite the dread tearing at her chest. "Whatever you're planning, whatever you've told Finn, it all ends here." Katie's smile was as frigid as ice. "Do you think you can scare me, Luna? You are nothing. You have always been nothing. Finn sees it. So does the town, and you will soon see it as well." Luna took a step closer, her voice low. "If you hurt him, Katie, I'll make sure you pay." Fear flashed in Katie's eyes, but it vanished as fast as it appeared. "You're out of your depth," she exclaimed, moving away. "Go home, Luna, while you still have one." Luna went, her mind racing. She realized she couldn't battle Katie alone, not with the Brennans' influence to protect her. She needed Finn, but he was still under Katie's spell. She needed Bill, yet his rage was explosive, unpredictable, and dangerous. Most importantly, she needed to believe in herself, to rediscover the strength she'd hidden beneath years of sadness and sacrifice. That night, she sat at the kitchen table and wrote her own letter, not to Katie, but to Finn. She poured her heart into it, with each word a plea for him to see the truth and remember who they were to each other. She wrote of their parents, the nights they spent snuggled together after the accident, and their promises to never let go. She wasn't sure if he'd read it, but she had to try. She finished by slipping the note under his bedroom door, even though he hadn't slept there in weeks. Then she went to find Bill. He was at the docks, fixing nets with almost obsessive intensity. When he saw her, his expression softened, but the worry in his eyes persisted. "I'm scared, Bill," she said, her voice breaking. "I don't know how to fix this." He set down his tools and drew her into a hug, his arms firm and steady. "You don't have to do it alone," he explained. "I am with you, Luna. Always." For the first time in weeks, Luna sensed a ray of hope. However, it was short-lived. The next morning, Finn was gone. His room was vacant, his clothes were gone, and the letter she'd written was ripped to bits on the floor. A message in Katie's handwriting sat among the fragments. "He's mine now." Luna's world crumbled. She searched the town, her despair increasing with each vacant street. Bill joined her, his wrath hardly restrained, but they discovered no sign of Finn. The Brennans' house was tightly closed, with gloomy windows. Rumors circulated that Finn had fled with Katie, while some claimed he had permanently abandoned Eldridge. Luna refused to believe it. Finn refused to leave without saying anything, not after everything they'd been through. Days stretched into weeks, and Finn's absence left a hole in Luna's heart. Bill remained by her side, his loyalty unflinching, but he couldn't replace the gap. The town grew colder, and the rumors became louder. Luna felt the weight of their judgment and blame. She was the sister who had failed, the woman who had lost it all. As winter descended on Eldridge, Luna returned to the cliffs. The sea was peaceful now, like a mirror reflecting the stars overhead. She reflected on Finn, the youngster he once was and the man he might one day become. She remembered her parents and the life she had envisioned before grief had tethered her in this place. And she thought of herself, the strength she had forgotten she possessed. She made a commitment on the rocks, with the sea as a witness. She would locate Finn, no matter where he was or what it took. She was willing to confront Katie, the Brennans, and the entire community if necessary. And she refused to allow fear or doubt define her anymore. Luna turned away from the sea and walked steadily back to town. The fight was far from over, but for the first time, she felt prepared. She was Luna Matheson and she refused to break. Katie's voice echoed in her mind. It wasn't just anger, it was venom mixed with something so keen that it still pierced through Luna's ribs like glass. Katie, her best friend who had promised they would never disagree, was now the one who wanted her gone. Not simply erased from memory, but ended in a way that made it impossible to return. The thought gutted Luna out from inside. But more worse than Katie's rage was Finn and Bill's involvement in the conflict. Finn had always been the steady one, reminding her of the light even when everything else fell apart. And, while Bill may be gruff at times, he had always protected her like a brother. Luna's heart was twisted into knots of misery as she saw their fury focused at Katie. She had never wanted war to break out amongst them, nor did she want to be in the center of a storm so powerful that it would destroy them all. Yet there she was, standing at the center of all, watching ties unravel like frayed threads on a ragged cloak. The wind blew, bringing with it memories of the past, laughter in the courtyard, Katie's hand in hers as they swore unbreakable pledges, Finn's gentle grins, Bill's thundering fury when anybody dared to harm her. They had previously been a family, something the world rarely provided. A chosen one, formed on dedication rather than blood. Now that devotion was destroyed, and she couldn't help but wonder if she was the one who shattered it, or if the breaking was predetermined from the start. Katie's eyes haunted her the most. They were once warm and full of understanding, but now they flame with lethal rage. When Katie stood in front of her, the words came like daggers. "You do not belong here anymore." Luna's stomach twisted as she spoke with finality. "Yes, I am alive, but I am undesired. Breathing, yeah, but despised." She remembered the trembling in her own voice as she said, "Katie, I'm still here. I'm still the one who held your hand when you cried and remained by your side when the world turned its back." But Katie didn't listen. Pain had drowned out reason, and rage had solidified into something unyielding. Finn had been there, too, his fists squeezed so hard that his knuckles had turned pale. His fury was directed toward Katie rather than Luna, because he couldn't stand to watch the cruelty that had taken root in someone they had loved. Bill's voice had sounded like a tempest, demanding that Katie stop and recall what they had been. But wrath against rage just fueled the flames. The air was thick with anguish and rage, and Luna felt herself crumbling beneath it, crushed under the weight of their hatred.